Welcome to the Rebuilding of Venezuela podcast. Business opportunities, the market, and the talent needed to make it happen. We bring you a dual perspective, the U.S. business lens and the inside view from Venezuela. Welcome to the Rebuilding Venezuela podcast. Business opportunities, the market, and the talent needed to make it happen. I'm Alex Miranda, coming to you from Miami, Florida, and I'm joined by my partner, Ignacio, who is on the ground in Venezuela.
Yeah, awesome. Hello, Alex.
Venezuela is open for business, and the companies that understand that today are already 3 months ahead of the ones that will figure it out tomorrow. Let's start with your Venezuela reconstruction update. When does strategic planning begin? Most companies would say before the market opens, 3 months out, 6 months, a year in advance. But here is what's actually happening in Venezuela right now. PdVSA is signing contracts with American companies every single day. Chevron, ExxonMobil, Baker Hughes, already on the ground. The FBI has a physical office open in Caracas. Venezuelan consulates are reopening. The diplomatic infrastructure is not forming in the future. It's forming right now. And yet, there are still executives watching from Miami, Houston, New York, waiting for more certainty before they move. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If your strategic planning starts today, you are not early. You are not on time. You are behind the companies that moved 3 months ago. But you're still ahead of the companies that will start 6 months from now. And the difference between those two groups is not capital. It's not legal preparation. It is relationships. It is local intelligence. It is knowing who to call and what not to do when you land. Venezuela does not reward the biggest companies. It rewards the best positioned ones. And that's your Venezuela reconstruction update. Today, we have an amazing guest, Jose Bracho. He is a Venezuelan-born, U.S.-educated business professional with more than 25 years of experience in financial management and business strategy across both the U.S. and the Venezuelan markets. He is currently on the ground in Venezuela, not visiting, not researching remotely, physically present during one of the most consequential economic moments the country has seen in decades. He has relationships across business, legal, and diplomatic circles in Venezuela, and he maintains strong connections to U.S. markets, including Miami's Venezuelan-American-born community. Jose is positioning himself as an advisor to U.S. companies that want to enter Venezuela strategically. He's not alone in this. Many Venezuelans with deep experience across both markets are doing the same. The opportunity is large, and the knowledge gap between U.S. companies and Venezuelan market reality is real. Jose, welcome to the podcast. You are physically on the ground in Venezuela right now. For someone watching this from the United States, describe what you are actually seeing today.
First of all, thank you very much for having me. And to tell you the truth, I'm so happy to be here because I'm a real witness of what's going on here in Venezuela, and not only in Caracas but also in other cities where the oil industry is like booming again, like Maracaibo, like Maturin, and there is in Caracas, for instance, you see many people around. There's traffic again. There is a huge movement among lawyers, among accountants, among everybody who's trying to help not only American companies, but also Venezuelan companies to start this huge rebuilding process. It's going to take at least, for my understanding, 5 to 10 years to have the oil industry in top again.
Jose, 5 to 10 years. Let's start right there. Why 5 to 10 years? I mean, I hear AI, maybe AI is not really related to oil and gas, but I'm hearing the world changes every 3 years. Why is it going to take 5 to 10 years in Venezuela?
I'll let you know. First of all, and I want to be very clear on this. I'm not a politician. I'm not involved in politics. I'm just a businessman and a person with expertise, not only in the oil industry, but also in many industries. in Venezuela and around the world. I'm a kind of guy who's watching everyday news because I like to be involved in geopolitics. Okay, so that's why I'm gonna tell you this idea that I have. For the past 25 years, the Venezuelan oil industry was destroyed. To tell you the truth, there was an amazing process of not having maintenance, not having the real the real experts, the people who really know how to do things, and the the industry was failing and failing and failing. I remember that we were able to produce at least 3.5 million barrels per day, and we were in a position that was only 152,000 barrels per day, which is nothing in the oil industry.
Nothing.
So we have to remember that we have three steps in the oil business, which is the upstream, to have midstream and downstream. In the process of upstream, which is the crucial step in the oil industry, not over here but worldwide, is the exploration and drilling. And these two aspects for the first upstream process are very, very capital intensive. So without money, how come are you going to be exploring, and how come are you going to be drilling? And that's what happened. So I remember, for instance, we used to have more than 2,000 oil sites producing. Now I think we're gonna have only 120, 125.
Really?
Oh yeah. So this process takes time, and there is one more factor which is also very, very important, which is the power generation and distribution in Venezuela. There is this is also destroying, to tell you the truth, and to have back again the power grid is gonna take some time. So you were saying the truth. Normally, it's gonna take 3 times, but we have to add the power generation and distribution rebuilding, because you need to have you need power to drill. You need to access points that now they are running out of power. There is no power in fact. So we have to add that time. So that's why I'm telling you this is gonna take 5 years.
5 to 10. All right. Well, it doesn't mean it's going to take 5 to 10 years for U.S. businesses to do business with Venezuela.
No way.
Because in order to rebuild that infrastructure, in order to suppliers, engineer firms, I mean, you're going to need a whole army of people to get us to that 5 to 10 year mark. So the business opportunity is very real. Jose, what is the most, just keeping on this business opportunity, right? Because that's what people are really excited about. Opportunistic entrepreneurs, business owners here in the United States are thinking, how can I be a part of the oil boom that's happening right now in Venezuela? Jose, what is the most surprising thing happening in Venezuela right now that most Americans have no idea about? What would you say that is?
Well, it is good, and I'm happy to see that PdVSA is signing contracts every day with American companies, with European companies, also with local companies. It's good to have information about my friends who used to work in here. They are working, for instance, in Europe, and they calling me and asking me what's going on in Venezuela right now, because there is a boom, and in fact there is a boom right now in here. To see Chevron, for instance, Chevron was working here for the last 3 or 4 years, but now they are increasing the capacity in terms of manpower, in terms of equipment, in terms of everything, because they were able to sign an extension of the actual contract that they have. To see companies like Baker Hughes signing contracts with PdVSA, to see Repsol and Eni from Spain and Italy signing a partnership and signing a contract with PdVSA to increase the oil production, is the best that Venezuelan can see right now.
That's amazing. Jose, I am one of those opportunistic entrepreneurs that have that want to be a part of the rebuilding Venezuela. That's why I have a podcast. I've actually had a company serving Venezuelans since 2018. I am extremely excited. I'm so excited that the minute the consulate opens up here in Miami, I'm going to be the first person in line. I want to get my visa. I want to get on a plane and I want to go to Venezuela. And I know I'm not alone. I know there's a lot of business owners here in the United States. They want to get over there, but I already have people that I know there. I have a company there. I've got Ignacio, my partner. I've got you that I can call, but I know there's going to be people that are going to get on a plane and get over to Venezuela and think that they could just start knocking on doors and, doing stuff like, in the United States, what would you do? You go to the Chamber of Commerce, you get to know some people, you start networking. But I could also see this being a huge mistake for someone to just get on a plane and go over there sort of blind. What mistakes are you seeing that people are making or could be making when they just show up there sort of unprepared?
Well, to tell you the truth, this is not a matter of hiring a huge attorney firm that has representations here in Venezuela just to cover the legal aspect. There is, another setting of plan that you have to take into consideration to be here in Venezuela. Having the knowledge, the local knowledge, in terms of not only the law, there are local regulations that you have to know. For instance, there is a municipal taxation for every municipality here in Venezuela that has oil production. The rate is also different, so you have to know that. And considering this, then you have to take into consideration as well the national tax. So there is the payroll system. There is the we call here the sindicatos, the syndicates that they are very, very strong. They are able to stop a plant in minutes. They are able to stop any oil facility because they know how to do it. And you have to deal with this kind of people. So coming here blind is not a good idea. You have to meet someone in here who have that expertise. And this person is going to take you to every place and to tell you the truth and to tell you what is happening really in here. For instance, let me tell you something. The Venezuelan, la Asamblea Nacional, which is the Venezuelan Congress, they are passing laws right now. The hydrocarbon law has a new regulation to allow American companies, not only American, companies from all over the world to come to Venezuela, because in the past they were just PdVSA capacity. Now American companies can come and have business with PdVSA directly, and they can manage, the gains from that production in here. But the government is going to allow American companies to take their money and transfer or wire that money to the United States. So, which is good for everyone. Also, they are passing new laws about labor, about taxes, about legal security to protect your investment here in Venezuela, because you need to feel safe to be able to perform at your best level. So Venezuela is taking care of that. I think the partnership that we have with the American government right now is good, is excellent, even though they don't have, the same political ideology, but this is a business, my friend. And business, you have to take out some consideration that in the past were, crucial. But now this is a business and we have to take advantage of the timing. This is the real timing. This is something very, very sad happening in the world, which is the Iran war. And having the prices that the oil barrel is getting today, the opportunity is much, much bigger right now, because having the price above 100 per barrel, let me tell you, this is something. And we have to take advantage of it.
Wow. I didn't even think about that. You're right. The fact that the oil prices are up because supply is down.
Mm.
If supply is down, prices go up. That's just economics, because demand is still there. And so it does seem like uh, if the price of the barrel is higher, then Venezuela's making more money. Is that what you're saying, Jose?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So now that,
Do you have if we split the price, for instance, you have the production cost. It's gonna be around $45 to $50. Imagine the spread that you have with a price rising to the $100 per
so,
barrel.
Yeah.
It's huge. It's huge. Let me tell you,
wow.
it's huge.
Wow,
So
man. So
the,
not only
there
does
is
Venezuela remove a dictator, not only do they win a baseball championship, but now in some serendipitous way, the prices of oil are up and Venezuela gets to benefit from that.
Yeah.
Wow.
The
That's
good thing
incredible.
also is like American companies and the Venezuelan government are considering, to also increase or to regulate in a win-win situation the royalty that American companies are going to be
Mm-hmm.
paying to the Venezuelan government, which is good for everybody as well. So
Wow.
there are many aspects. I'm glad that for instance to have the Chris Wright, the energy secretary, and to have Doug Bargan in here in person meeting with the president of Venezuela. It was huge to have these two guys in here in terms of business, because I watched the news, and it was good to have them, talking like freely about all business, to offering, American companies, offering American expertise, not only in businesses but also in planning, logistics. Man, this is something that we have to take into consideration.
That's awesome, Jose.
Right.
You were talking before the show, we were talking about the consulates, that the current consulate system is broken. You have to fly to different countries to get a visa, and it's a big mission. We've got to fix that, obviously. If we're going to do business with Venezuela and I need to be able to travel over there and maybe take a day or two trip. I'm thinking as an American business owner, right? I go to Venezuela, and then come back, the same way if I did business with Panama or Puerto Rico, I just fly there, a couple days, come back. Talk to us about the consulate reopenings. What
Well,
what are you hearing? What are you hearing on the ground? Because they're not open today, but gosh, rumors must be flying. There must be something happening. Talk to us about this.
I'm a Venezuelan pride person, but to see the American flag on the top of the American embassy in here was delicious,
Yeah.
to tell you the truth. I was so happy to see that again. And when 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 they signed the the memo that they are going to reopen and to regain diplomatic relations within the two countries, it's opened a new era for everybody, not only here in Venezuela, but also in the States. Because I have information, I know people in here, and I know people involved in the diplomatic relations and the business relations all over the all over the place. So they're telling me, for instance, that Venezuela is going to reopen the Miami consulate, Houston consulate, New Orleans consulate, and New York consulate right away. And in fact, we have a new ambassador he's in Washington right now, as it is. His last name is Plasencia, which is a guy who was in the United States before, so he knows how to deal with this kind of situation, and they have the order to open it right away, as well as Mr. Trump ordered to open the consulate and the embassy here right away. So the good news is that probably by next week we're gonna be having, the American consulate opening in here. We're scheduling, appointments to renew the visa. So this is gonna be great for everybody. And to tell you the truth, I'm the kind of guy who's learning every day many things, and I learned that if the United States have diplomatic relations with one country, they have to be one direct flight. It's the law. So
Mm-hmm.
this is a requirement that we have to cover, and it's done. For instance, I know for sure, for a fact, because I went to the airport and I see to myself the American Airlines food is gonna be ready like now. American Airlines
Yeah,
is
in
gonna be
a matter of
using
weeks.
American Airlines is going to be using a subsidiary from Dallas, which is an American airlines company, but they have small planes, Embraer, which is a Brazilian airplane, and to to start operations immediately, because in terms of logistics, it's going to take time to have the big planes again in here. It's gonna come, but they're going to start right away using that small planes, and we're gonna be having like three. I think daily it's gonna be 3 flights from Caracas and from Maracaibo to Miami.
That's amazing.
That is awesome.
Oh man, imagine that. It was a pain in the neck to take 3 or 4 flights to get to Miami, my friend,
And expensive as well.
and very very expensive. I was telling Ignacio that I was in my renewal process in Barbados, and I was lucky because it was one direct flight. I had to go to Bogota, for instance, to have some. I'm getting my Spanish nationality probably in the coming months, and I have to go to Colombia, and I have to take 3 flights from Caracas because there wasn't a direct flight at that time. Imagine that. We are neighbors, and I had to take 3 flights.
That
So
is wild.
having and imagine the logistics. You have to send documents. You have to send small equipment, and you have to take 3 or 4 flights to put an envelope in here in Caracas.
Too
This
much.
is this is too much. This is
Well,
no
I'm
way
Yeah,
that
and
in business is going to work that way.
Alex, and I want to add, and Jose, I want to add that at the end of the day, yeah, that uncertainty around travel, visa, legal status was actually freezing that conversation in, hey, let's operate here in Venezuela. But, the consulate reopen it, start to clear that, it's not going to be immediate, but it's a signal that many were wanting for many wanting to say. And at the end of the day, Venezuelan American can actually right now say, I can go to Venezuela
It's
either
amazing.
for pleasure or for work.
I can't wait. I've been hearing
Yeah.
about so much about Venezuela since 2018. I already do business in Venezuela, so it's my excitement to go to Venezuela is not to do business. My excitement is to go to climb Avila and to go to some, Margarita. I've been
Los
Los
hearing
Roques, my
Roque.
friend. You have
Los
to go to Los
Roques.
Roques.
Yeah, I've been hearing about these places for so long, and I see pictures. There's like little German town that like
Colonia
Colonia
recreated.
Tovar.
Tovar.
I'm like, I see it online, and I'm like, Ignacio, is this real or is this fake? Is it AI? 'Cause you wouldn't expect to see this little German town in Venezuela, but Ignacio like, no, that's very real, bro. People take little trips to go up there. I am so excited. Jose, we brought you on because there's going to be many people, many companies wanting to do business with Venezuela, and they should not go in blind. And you're positioning yourself as an advisor that wants to help U.S. companies do business with Venezuela. And by the way, vice versa. There's going to be Venezuelan companies that want to do business with the U.S.
That's correct.
It's not a one-way road here. The opportunity is both ways. And this is the most critical, important section of this podcast episode that I wanted to do with you. I'm glad we spoke about a lot of these sort of macro things happening, because U.S. companies need to be aware of all of these macro things. But we want to hear a clear, practical framework a company can actually follow. Jose, draw this out for us step by step. Let's talk about strategic planning, but make it practical. If a U.S. company decides today that they want to engage Venezuela, what does step one actually look like?
Okay. Well, we have a good team in here that can help American and companies all over the world to start businesses here in Venezuela. And I have three-step plan, which is, I'm going to make it simple today, but it's going to get complicated when you go through the process. Okay.
Each one.
For instance, the first step is going to be the initial assessment and the partnership option that you're going to be having here. We have to do a due diligence. We have to look for a potential partner, a local partner, or probably you're going to be we're going to work directly with PdVSA, which is good, and we have to explore that legal entity that you're going to be having in here as a company.
Wow.
Joint ventures, partnership, wherever you want to call it, but we have to have an initial point, and this is going to be this. Second is to have I call this the risk management and compliance. We have to develop a very, very robust and strong risk management plan. How are you going to be working in here? What are you expecting to take from this market? Which market are you going to be, getting in? I mean, oil, gas, construction, power generation, power distribution, mining, all as well. Because we have to mention also the mining sector in here. Okay, and I'm gonna put it this for the last aspect. Then you have to ensure that the compliance plan is gonna match with your business plan that you are thinking to have here in Venezuela. You have to consider also the tax regime that you have in here. Also, I was mentioned the syndicates and the payroll system, which are very, very different here in Venezuela in the oil and construction sector. Then you have to consider what's gonna call the investment phases and the capital requirement to start a business here in Venezuela, to establish a running business, to be, to set your definite way of conducting business here in Venezuela. This is to put it in the simple way, we have to go through these three steps at the beginning. We have the people to do that. We have the legal advisors, we have the tax advisors, we have the payroll advisor, we have everybody in here are ready to work. People who used to work for PdVSA, people who used to work for Corpolec, which is the power generation, the national company, people who used to work for big law firms or big taxation firms. We have, people ready to work for everybody as it is right now. And there is an important issue, Alex, that I have to mention. Venezuela, American companies need to have a rep in here. They have to be a business. We can call it a business development representation here in Venezuela, because flying alone or being blind in here is not the best option, because it's going to cost you a lot of money. So if we are able to put these ideas together and have a very, very good plan, it's going to be successful for everybody.
That's amazing, Jose. And I feel the same way you do about this business rep that we're talking about. At the very practical level, there's a lot of companies here in Miami that distribute products to Latin America. Let's just say refrigerators, whatever, right? I have a distribution company in Miami. I represent a brand that has given me South America as the territory to sell to. Up until, recently, I couldn't sell to Venezuela, but now I can sell refrigerators to Venezuela, right? That's what I'm thinking. I'm just putting up an example here. Yeah. Now I can sell refrigerators to Venezuela. So I agree with you. If you're going to start selling refrigerators to Venezuela, you need one of your business reps in Venezuela. I mean, could you have a business rep here, kind of traveling back and forth and doing that? Sure, you could, but I'm a believer that I think you need to hire someone like Venezuelan who lives in Venezuela that works for your company remotely, right? They're boots on the ground for you, but they're knocking on doors, creating these relationships, these joint ventures that you're talking about. Jose, describe to me, I'm a distributor in Miami of a product. okay? I want to start selling in Venezuela. I want to start selling my refrigerators in Venezuela. I don't have to go over there and set up a legal entity, because I think what you were talking about was there's strategic partnerships. Basically, I need to get with a refrigerator distribution company in Venezuela. How does that work?
Well,
I know I'm just throwing this at you, but give me the practical steps here.
it could be that way, as we were mentioned. You can have a joint venture with a local company. You can have a partnership with a local company. You can buy a Venezuelan already incorporated company. So there is a many ways that you can start, the legal entity here in Venezuela. But we have to cover the legal aspect. I'm sure about it, but you have to take into consideration the market. You need to have, a market plan. You have to know the consumer here taste what it's like to have a white refrigerator or a black one or a blue one. You need to have details about the market. So, and tell me, this is not a rocket science expertise, but you need to have a local person who's able to tell you these easy things to know. So that's why the best option is to go through a local partner at the beginning. Then you can switch to a joint venture. You can switch to buying a local firm. But at the beginning, you need to have a local partner or a local advisor to guide you
I like that.
in the process.
I like that. How long,
Yeah.
Jose, if I'm a distribution company, I'm allowed, let's assume that the manufacturer is now allowing me to sell to Venezuela, right? Because manufacturers have that kind of power in your contract of what countries you can and can't
allow
sell
me
to.
allow me to interrupt you for a while. We have to mention, and I'm sorry that I didn't bring this to the table at the beginning. We need to consider also the American sanctions to Venezuelan businesses. Okay,
Of course.
now that the relations are open and running again, you still have to go through the OFAC to get licenses to have to deal with some kind of businesses here in Venezuela. So we need to have legal advisory in the states asking about what is permitted or what is not permitted because of the American
What are the
sanctions.
licenses about?
What type of license do you need? So we need to take also this into consideration. And I'm sorry I didn't bring that to the table at the beginning.
No, and that's good, because it goes into my next question, because how long does this process realistically take for a company starting from zero today? You're mentioning I got to get a lawyer here in the United States to get me through a certain process to, go around sanctions or get, permissions and licenses. And then I got to go, in Venezuela, I've got to form some kind of joint venture or someone that can, distribute my refrigerators. How long does this all take, Jose? Because it sounds like a mission to me.
Well, going through the OFAC process is not taking that long. They are very speedy in terms of giving you the license, and especially if you have a good lawyer in the States, it's gonna take you like 15 to 20 days to have your license, and then talking or starting relations with a local distributor or local partner in here is easy. It's not going to take you that long. And also having persons like us here, we know here almost everybody. We can have right away a company running. We can, as I
The
mentioned
process
before,
gets faster for sure.
as I mentioned before, probably I'm going to recommend you to buy a local company which is already in business. So it's going to be easier for you because they have everything to run a business. And to tell you the truth, there are many Venezuelan people thinking about having or getting a American partner to work together and and to go through the markets together. You mentioned something which is very important also, Alex. There are gonna be many Venezuelan companies trying to get into the American market to supply, equipment. Everything's gonna be needed to rebuild the country. So it's gonna work both ways.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's so
imagine,
good.
imagine this: a Venezuelan company is gonna help you here, and your company in America is gonna help me over there. So this is going to
Uh-huh.
the sign the
So
it's,
both ways.
it's a both ways. It's a win-win situation if you if
I
you if
love
you're
it.
thinking in this way.
That's the way I'm seeing it. That's exactly the way I'm seeing it. I supply since 2018. We've been my company. I have a virtual staffing agency, Jose. We staff people from Venezuela to work remotely for United States companies. It was really a one-way relationship, right? Because the Venezuelan is just working from home, but they're working for a U.S. company doing whatever the U.S. company does. A one-way relationship. Now, though, my staffing company, I used to only do business with US companies, right? But now Venezuelan companies are going to need staff. These joint ventures that you're talking about are going to need to get staffed up. US companies are going to need staff over there. But I'm also thinking Venezuelan companies that want to start doing business with the US, they're going to need to get staffed up with business development people sort of the other way. It does present a very interesting shift in my own company. Luckily for us, years ago, we already kind of foresaw this and we opened up an entity in Venezuela. So we're already established and working our legal angles over there as well. Like you said, there's a lot of legal things happening, changing a lot. But I had the foresight to be able to do this. Many companies just weren't thinking this because Venezuela wasn't even on their radar. But yeah, I love your idea, this interesting concept to just be able to buy a company that's already in Venezuela. Why go through all the mission of opening up a company and blah, blah, blah? Now you just, boom, buy a company that already exists out there. And they would certainly, to your point, Jose, they would certainly welcome this purchase partnership because they're also thinking, hey, this is going to be a two-way street here
Two
for
ways. Yep.
growth.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's amazing. So, Jose, um, what does working with an advisor like you provide a company that can't figure it out on their own? As we close up here in these final minutes, people want to get a Jose on their side. I know that, right? What are these first steps? What does it actually look like with you to work with you?
Well, you gotta have a first meeting, and as I mentioned before, the initial assessment. Tell me about your company. Tell me your intention here in Venezuela. Tell me which industry are you going to get in, and from that three questions, you want to be, discussing, and then I'll have a small business plan, and from that we are going to develop that idea in terms of uh, advising as we're supposed to do it. And it's gonna get complicated, easy but complicated, because all the aspects that we're gonna be reviewing, because we have to do it the right way. And as I mentioned before, we have the right people to do it, and we know the country very, very, very well. And we know the network that we have in here is huge, it's powerful, and we have to take advantage. We have to take advantage of.
That's amazing, Jose.
That's
And for
awesome.
those US companies listening, I would think that one move, if you're really serious about doing business in Venezuela, one move that you should make right now, this week, is to get with one of these advisors to just start talking, have the conversation, create a plan. Getting with these, like, awareness is the beginning of wisdom. And if you want to be a company involved in there, then you're going to have to become aware of it. And at least from my perspective, I know that there's many Venezuelan Americans living here in the United States that might think they can position themselves as advisors, and certainly is better than nothing. However, I would think an advisor that's actually in Venezuela is probably someone that you'd want to consider working with. There are, again, many Venezuelan American advisors here in Florida, and especially in Miami. But man, having an advisor in Venezuela, I think that that's a key move, a key strategic move for any company. Jose Bracho, thank you so much. You have a LinkedIn page. If you look him up on LinkedIn, Jose Bracho, he's there for you guys to be able to get in touch with. I'll leave a link to your LinkedIn page in the description as well. Jose, I have a feeling this is not the last time that we're going to be on a podcast together. There are many more conversations to have. I feel like this episode is going to expire in a month. I see everything happening so fast. That like we're gonna have to delete this episode in like 3 months, because like the consulates will be open and there'll be a new law, and it's like, bro, we need to refilm this podcast. Jose, everything is moving so fast. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the work that you're doing. I'm excited to do business with Venezuela. I know Ignacio and I have been waiting for years for this moment. We're not alone. Hundreds of thousands, millions of Venezuelans have been waiting for this moment. Many U.S. companies waiting for this moment. The moment is now. United States companies, if you want to do business with Venezuela, you need to get an advisor that's going to start consulting you. Start now. Thank you so much, Jose.
Thank you very much for having me, and see you again, guys.